Well, hi, everybody. After the first two videos, we are recording the third, and we're going to be picking up where we left off with the last one. Last time, at the end of the last call, Frank. And oh, by the way, I'm here with Frank Piliero Jr. again, COO of East Coast Warehouse Fulfillment. Yes, he's still COO. He has not been promoted to CEO yet.
Still COO.
So
Yep.
we'll keep everybody posted on that when that happens. We'll send out a blast to everybody and let them know. So inquiring minds, right? No, so last time at the end of the call, you brought up shipping costs and, some of those, and you talked about the fact that, people should feel really comfortable keeping their own shipping, relationships if they have them. So I didn't even think about it at the time, but that's actually one of your business killers. So let's start with that one.
Okay.
I think, you kind of talked about it and touched on it briefly, the last one. Anything you want to add to that, about shipping costs and some of the things that you see, or just reiterate what you've already said? You go ahead.
Absolutely. So the big thing I believe I touched in on might have been the first video was how many 3PL centers mark up the shipping cost. So if you're expecting to pay $1, that's the rate they give you. You're going to get your first invoice, you're going to be paying 3 and 4 times that much. This is also, Dane, why they often require you to ship under their shipping account. Many 3PL centers do not give you the option to ship under your own account. That's a philosophy to be quite honest, I don't agree with. And I feel like it's not only not practical, it's immoral. Just to give an example from my business, we have people who are very established with their shipping reps. They've been shipping with UPS and FedEx for sometimes 10, 15 years. They have great rates that they're realizing the full discount of the rates going direct. You're cutting out the middleman. Okay. You're going direct to UPS, direct to FedEx, and you're realizing the discounts right from the beginning. And we feel, again, our motto is not to impede on that, not to disrupt that. So we allow people to come on with their own rates, their own shipping partners. And we feel that anyone looking for a fulfillment partner should ask for the same thing. Any fulfillment partner that says, no, sorry, you can only ship under our account, it's a requirement, that's a huge red flag, and you should run as fast as you can. Because that tells me right there, they want you to ship under your account so they can control the shipping and they can make as much as they can on the shipping. And they shouldn't be worried about making money on shipping. They should be worried about fulfilling your item and getting it out on time.
So don't walk away, run away.
Run away. Don't walk, run.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, that's good. And I actually think, to start with that, sort of picking up where we left off with our last session is, that leads right into when you're talking about, returns. You call it the returns rift, and it's the challenges of handling returns in e-commerce fulfillment and, complex returns processes sometimes, and lack of visibility and, slow resolution of those returns, can lead to customer frustration and not confirming that the return was received and those types of things. So I know this is one that gets left out a lot. I think, a new business person thinks, gosh, we're going to sell this and people are going to get it and they're going to be happy with it. But, look at the entire month of January in the retail world is nothing but returns, processing returns and restocking returns. Absolutely. And things like that. So I would love to hear you talk a little bit about how, you think 3PL providers should be handling returns, what clients, e-commerce business owners should be looking for, and what they should expect from their 3PL providers when it comes to handling returns.
Absolutely. I believe that the returns part of any e-commerce fulfillment business, any business really, Dane, is probably the most underestimated part of their business. And what I mean by that is, I feel like it doesn't get enough attention for two reasons. Number one, if we receive a return or a customer is expecting a return, the original customer who sent it back is expecting that return to be received in a timely manner so they can get the credit for their item. Right. And number two, you want to ensure that the return is handled properly, because there's a very good chance it can be resellable. In many instances, other 3PLs, they lose returns, they don't handle returns, they have a long delay in processing returns. And this leads to dissatisfied customers. Why you're going to have your customer asking you, why was my return not received? Where's my credit? Because in many instances, as a business owner, you're not going to give someone a credit until you can verify your 3PL has received the return, right? So you want to ask what procedures that these 3PLs have in place to ensure timely reporting or receiving of their returns. A few things I always look for, and I advise people to look for: what is the time I can expect to be notified from when the return hits the door to when you're going to let me know? What kind of information are you going to give me? Are you just going to tell me a package came?
Right,
Uh,
right.
I would like to know the address of where it came from, who it came from, the order number. The condition is a big one that would tell you if it's resellable. Sometimes, unfortunately, people lie about the condition. They tell you it's unopened. We open it and we see it's pretty far from unopened. It looks like it was worn last Saturday night at a disco. So
Mhm.
I think it's not only is not processing returns, not good for your brand, it can be another sunk cost. I mean, if you can resell an item, that's extra money in your pocket, and I feel
Right.
like it's something that's very overlooked, and I advise many of my partners to look into when they're evaluating fulfillment houses, and that's why I call it the returns rift. It's an important thing to look into and keep in mind.
So, one of the things that this all these interviews have done is, I think it's been great. You're telling people what questions they should be asking.
Mhm.
And so just to kind of go back and cover this again, when it comes to returns, if I'm an e-commerce business owner and I'm researching a new 3PL, or even I really like the 3PL, provider that I'm with, but I see this and I have some questions now. And it's like, hey, I'm actually curious how my current provider does that. The question that I want to ask then, I want to make sure that I got this right. And I'm sure people listening to this say, is the question, hey, I know we handle returns. I know you're doing it, but are you repackaging them and restocking them? There's some very specific questions, it seems like, that need to be asked there. It's, how do you process the return you get it? How do you inspect the return when you get it? If you inspect the return and there's damage, then is there a way or a system through which they notify me as the business owner? And then second, if the product is inspected and it's great, it's brand new, it's basically not unopened and not used, there's a process for putting that back into inventory and letting me know that as well. Those are pretty much the core questions you want to ask, right?
Absolutely. I think
Okay.
you touched on all of them greatly. And the big one
Okay.
I would just I'd really confirm with any 3PL is, what is the time between getting a return that I'm going to be
Okay.
notified or it's going to be updated in the system? Because
It's
the
not going
last
to
thing
go
you
into a
want,
bin on the dock and
exactly,
sit there for 2 weeks. Okay.
that's the last thing you want, because then you get an
Yeah.
angry customer asking for a refund. And these are questions that you have to ensure that your 3PL has the infrastructure, the systems and procedures in place to take care of the returns, quickly, accurately, and stay on top of them, basically.
So this one probably is going to be really easy. You call it the customer service chasm. And when I read that, I thought, yeah, every single one of these business killers is about customer service. And so I don't want to put words in your mouth and say it's easy, because I know customer service isn't easy. But one of the things that comes to mind for me is, and it's my pet peeve, I admit this is my personal problem. But if you have to call your credit card company, or you have to call your bank, or you have to call your automotive, where you get your oil change, or your dealership, or whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't, the airlines, whatever. Um, the first thing that happens is you get, an automated answering system. And then you got to listen to a menu of 10 different things. You got to push the number. And you think, okay, great, I'm going to get connected to somebody. I finally got through this. And then the next message that you get, and I know you've heard this, everybody who's listening to this interview has heard this. The next message is, due to unanticipated or unexpected, or more call volume, than what was anticipated, we are experiencing longer than average wait times, something like
Always.
that.
Mhm.
Drives me crazy. And it's the same message that you get every time. It doesn't matter if it's at 8 o'clock in the morning. It doesn't matter whether it's at 4 o'clock at night. It doesn't matter if it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever. They're always having higher than anticipated call volumes. And so they have higher than, average wait times.
Sure.
I had to call when we were working on this. I had to call you at I picked up the phone. I called the number to East Coast Warehouse, and a person actually answered the phone. And I thought, wow. And I noticed that if I call a business and somebody picks up the phone and answers it, I actually do notice that. And the
Me
first
too.
thing I
I'm
think
the
to
same way.
myself,
Yep.
yeah, the first thing I think to myself is, you know what, I actually might get taken care of today. So
Yes.
talk about that. And I know this is, it's probably an easy one, but talk a little bit about what you think a 3PL provider should be doing. And if I'm a new e-commerce business or an existing e-commerce business owner, what should my expectations be, and what are the questions I should be asking?
Dane, as you said, this is the easiest one. This is a softball right down the middle. Okay.
Okay.
Um, Answer the phone. If you have a question, make sure your 3PL is answering the phone. I do not believe in automated systems. I don't believe in the long hold times. It is the 3PL's duty to have the staff on hand to answer a phone call. If someone has an issue, for example, Dan, you're sending a product out and you just got a email from a customer. I sent it to the wrong address. I need this address changed immediately. You don't want to send an email, and worse, you don't want to sit on the phone waiting for 45 minutes to get this address updated, only to find out that while you were waiting on the phone, the package already shipped. It's too late. Sorry, can't help you. So that's why it's a huge thing in our company that we emphasize from day one. We are going to answer the phone, and I ask, every partner or person looking for a fulfillment partner, I advise to them, ask them if they answer their phone. What is their response time? Are you going to have to be sitting on waiting calls? Is there a customer service team? Or is there someone actively monitoring calls and emails? And even if you're getting quick, timely emails, that's okay. If as long as you're getting responses. The worst thing, and again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but reading these reviews can give you a lot of insight into some of the horror stories, and a lot of things you'll see is people saying, I can't get anyone on the phone. My inventory is not being shipped. The bills are huge. I sit on the phone for hours at a time. I can't get anyone on the phone. No one will speak to me. And then I've seen many cases where, they have to go to the Better Business Bureau. They have to climb all these ladders till finally you get someone's attention. And then there's this big, PR fix. We better finally address it. It should never have to get to that point. It's real easy to answer the phone and take care of a problem immediately. And that's a huge one. I don't think I know that everyone looking for a 3PL fulfillment center, ask them what their customer service standards are, ask them what they can expect if they have an issue, how quickly they're going to get a response. And honestly, test them, call them
I
on
was
an
gonna say,
off hour.
call them and see
Yeah,
if anybody, yeah, right.
exactly. That's exactly what I would do. Email them, see what the response time is. I think those are very important things because that's a crucial thing. The last thing you want to do is wait when you have an urgent matter. Because in the end, Dane, it's going to cost you your business. If you're waiting, it's going to cost you, the customer, and the loss of sale. It's just a very important part of any business. So
Well,
that's a huge
it's
one.
one of the most intuitive things, it seems like if the 3PL provider can't provide good customer service to the e-commerce business owner, then how can the e-commerce business owner expect that they're going to be providing good customer service to the people who are
Exactly.
purchasing their products? I mean,
Your
it's easy,
customer's waiting for an answer,
right?
and they
That's
can't get
it.
an answer because that person's waiting for an answer from the 3PL, and it's just it's something that shouldn't happen. There's really no excuse for
Right.
it for happening, and it should be better managed in this industry.
So the last one then that I wanted to talk about, I think I saved this one for last, and it actually is number 10 on your ebook, and I thought
Mhm.
it was positioned perfectly. I thought the hidden fees was at number 1 was great. And I thought this last one. So the last one is scalability. And, we've been talking about all the questions that a business owner should be asking existing or potential 3PL, providers and partners. And so scalability was the one I thought, you can have a provider or a partner who has all the technology in place, has great customer service, has they're good on the hidden fees, they're good on the hidden costs. They don't have the warehouse whirlpool. They've got great systems in place. But if they're not scalable, and if you're an e-commerce business owner, most business owners of any kind want to scale some, they want to grow, right?
Of
I
course,
mean, I have a saying in business, if you're not moving forward, you're moving backward. There is no standing still. So
100%.
you've got to constantly be thinking about the move forward. So scalability is number 10. Talk about that and the questions that people should be asking, because that's one I can't imagine. You don't want to get down the road and everything's going great, and you're like, hey, I need to send you, however many more pallets, and they say we're out of room. Sorry, we can't help you.
Absolutely.
So talk a
That's a
little
big
bit
one.
about the scalability issue.
And I'll tell you, Dane, that was something that really reared its ugly head during COVID, because
Mhm.
there was a long time when supply wasn't getting here, right? And then when supply came out again, the floodgates opened and all the supply came over and all the warehouses were packed, and a bunch of warehouses saying, we can't take anymore, we can't take anymore. So scalability is a big one, because you want to ensure that any fulfillment partner that you choose to partner with has the means to allow your business to grow. The last thing you want is to begin to grow your business, get some momentum, only to be told, sorry, we can't accommodate you anymore. You're going to have to find another facility. That's the
Right.
last thing you want to hear. I believe that transparency is like I've alluded to several times in our conversations. I believe transparency is a big part of any business. And to give you an example, in this business, um, a 3PL should tell you if they can't handle your business or your potential to scale. Some can't. I mean, I'll be
Right.
honest with you, Dana. We've gotten hit with, someone may say, we have 300 containers a year and 3,000 pallets. That's not a best fit for us. Let me give you to my partner who can handle that, right?
Right.
So I think it's best to find people that, number one, have the options to help you scale. They have the plan in place, they have the resources, they have the people. And number two, they have the partners that maybe even if you outgrow them, they have enough industry knowledge and networking business that they can partner with someone else to help you scale, because that happens a lot
Mhm.
in this business too. Sometimes people grow really quick, maybe quicker than you expected, and you say, well, what do I do? We weren't expecting to grow this quick. Well,
Right.
even if someone can't accommodate them right then, I would like to think, which should be the case, that you have the net with the people in the industry that can help. And then you have a second warehouse that you're really operating under one umbrella, that that can, it's an option. It's another way to ensure your business is scalable. So these are all things I would be asking other 3PLs. What do I do if I do outgrow you? Can I outgrow you? How fast could I outgrow you? What is your capacity? What happens if I meet that capacity? And these are just questions that all these things that we've gone through, right? You're painting a full picture of who your
Right.
partner's going to be, and can they help you grow?
Yeah.
It's a
And
big one.
that brings us I love all that. That brings us to the final point, because this is our last video. And, these interviews have been great, these conversations, because one of the, again, one of the positive common threads that runs through this entire conversation process is we talk about partners. I know you talk about it, and really what you're probably going to come right out and ask a potential 3PL partner, hey, do you act like a partner or what? But by asking all of these questions and sort of putting all those answers together, you get a clear picture of, does this fulfillment vendor really think of themselves as just a supplier and a distributor, or do they
Right,
think of themselves as a partner in my business?
right,
And I think one of the other questions, and I would tell anybody in any business and any, I work with lots of different industries, and we do a
sure.
lot of these different types of conversations. And, one of the things I would tell people is ask all of the questions, and then sit back and look at it and decide, is this somebody I want to be a partner with?
Yes.
Do they have all of the pieces that I think are going to enhance and improve my business and make my experience as a business owner better? Do they genuinely want to grow with my business, and are they going to do the things? And when I need to call somebody like Frank, and say, hey, I have a kind of a complex challenge here that I need some help solving through, are they going to sit down with you and talk it through and help you, help you resolve whatever that challenge is? So
Sure.
that's my takeaway from these conversations, and I hope that's everybody else's takeaways as well. So wonderful resource, this ebook that you put together. I think it's great. It's free to anybody who wants it. They can go to www.eastcoastwf, that's F as in fulfillment.com, www.eastcoastwf.com, and they can get their own copy of it and go through, and then it'll probably help them remember these conversations and help them, write down the questions they need to ask the next time they're out there looking for a fulfillment partner. So Frank, thanks so much for participating in this and taking the time and giving us so much information, and really kind of doing a data dump of everything that you've got going on up there between your ears.
Absolutely. I really appreciate it, Dane. And I'd just like to add one
Yeah,
last thing that I enjoy talking to people about the business. I'm always learning new things myself. So anyone who ever needs any kind of advice, consultation, please feel free to go to the website. My information is on there. You can schedule an appointment with me. No strings attached. I'm more than happy
okay,
to share any knowledge I can to help people, small, medium, large businesses, whatever I can do to help.
that's great.
All
Hey,
right.
Frank, thanks a lot. We'll see you around. Okay.
Thanks, Dane. Thanks.
All right. Bye.
Take care. Bye.